Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, happy Thursday. My head hurts, but I'm recording anyway. I've really been trying so hard to get back to my normal, and I just haven't been feeling good, and my head definitely hurts today. Um, but I'm recording because sometimes I just need it, sometimes I just need to sit back and talk things out. And that's what I do here. What I was thinking of before I hit record is that I feel like I need to get my teeth whitened. So, any of you out there that get your teeth whitened, I'd like some recommendations. Yeah. So moving on, what I wanted to talk about today it is being wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And I really have a hard time being wrong. I not only have a hard time being wrong, I have a hard time being corrected. Like, I'm not necessarily wrong, but there's a better way. I have a hard time with that too. Um, because in my mind, when I when I'm corrected or I'm wrong, it feels like I have failed. It feels like I'm not, what it exemplifies is this expectation of perfection from myself, which is just unreasonable. And I feel like there is a bit of weakness, embarrassment, loss of credibility, that goes with my uh, my vision of myself if I'm wrong. And it's the feeling that I get the instant that I'm wrong. I have something in my eye. Um, it's not something that lasts long term. It's like the and my immediate reaction to being wrong. And that reaction causes me to get defensive or get quiet. Um, I'll either do one or the other. And when I get quiet, it's probably even more apparent that I'm upset. And when I think about when I correct other people, I don't feel that other people give off the like feeling of defensiveness or the feeling of like, well, I'm just not going to talk to you. But so why do I do that? I mean, I know I'm not unique in it, but I do feel like I have a stronger reaction to being wrong. Um, it's like my reaction seems like it is to protect myself. It feels like I'm protecting that little girl inside of me. And it's okay to be wrong. And if I am trying to protect myself by being defensive or silent, I'm really limiting myself to learning. If I'm right all the time, I am not growing. I am not becoming. I am never going to be anything bigger than what I am. Um, but for some reason in life, being right became some sort of survival strategy. And I don't know where that came from. And I don't think I need to know where it came from. But I know what it feels like. When I'm right, I feel like I'm in control. When I'm right, I feel that I can predict what's going to happen. When I'm right, I feel like I have self-worth. And admitting that I'm wrong about something, and we're talking whether or not I put the salt in the water before I boiled pasta or something that ridiculous. Admitting that I didn't do it like I have an unreasonable reaction to that. Like I cling to my need to be right. And it might be because it feels safe to be right. And when I'm wrong, it feels uncertain, like I can't even rely on myself. It's really, again, it's unreasonable, but there is a hidden cost to always needing to be right. And I have seen firsthand how this need to be right affects my relationships. One specifically, and I don't talk about him a lot on here, but um, my husband, I have seen the way that when I need to be right, like my reaction to being corrected or something like that, I have seen how that affects him, that I can see him changing his behavior to like, well, I don't want to piss her off, but I also want to give her this feedback. And that's not fair to him. My relationship, maybe not drastically, but it is suffering when being right matters more than my connection with that person. And my learning is being stalled when by needing to be right. Because when I need to be right, then I'm not open to curiosity. I'm not willing to be open to learning a different way. I'm not curious. I just want to be certain all the time. I don't want to grow. I want everything to already be decided. Um, I want like doors are closed. And if I remain curious and open to learning and growing, then that need to be right, it kind of gets diminished a little bit. So I think what I have learned in watching how my need to be right has affected how my husband approaches me, it's it's told me that being wrong or being knowing that I don't know best all the time, that is a gateway to learning. This is such a good example for me because my husband is a really good cook. I would even call him a chef, but he wouldn't call himself that. But he's the type of person that can make a dish and then taste it and be like, you know what that needs? It needs thyme and rosemary, or that needs a little turmeric added to it, or let's add some hot sauce or something. And he can like make it better, make a dish better. That to me is a chef. And so in my medical retirement, in my stroke recovery, I have started cooking a lot. Like, so I'm the one who cooks the most now in the house because I have time. So while he's working, I'll start making dinner. It takes me a while, but I do start at like 3 o'clock, 3:30. So that dinner's ready by, you would hope 5 by then, but for some reason it's not done till 6. I don't know why it takes me so long. Anyway, when I'm cooking dinner and then he comes up and he sees what I'm making and may see something that I'm doing that he knows of a better way because he has experience. Why am I not open to that? Why am I just like and I know there's people who would be like, "Oh, well, you're making it. He shouldn't come up and give you advice." Well, that's not what he's doing. He's coming up and he's wanting to share that experience with me, and I'm closing off. And I could be, and I am, a much better cook when I'm open to his suggestions. So I every skill that I am gaining cooking is being polished by the experience, but it's also being polished by listening, by being able to be open to suggestions. So, um, feeling like he's coming up and giving me suggestions and feeling like well, what I'm thinking in my mind is, oh, well, I'm doing it wrong. And that's not what's happening. When somebody is giving me a suggestion, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm doing it wrong. It just means that, hey, there might be a better way to do it. So, if I'm that wrapped up in feeling like, well, he's telling me I'm doing it wrong, I'm closed off to any new information. I'm closed off to a deeper understanding of the culinary world, to be honest with you. And um, I have the opportunity, if I'm listening, to ask questions and become wiser. Why don't I want to be wiser instead of being right? Like that is such a great perspective on it. To be wiser, seek to be wiser instead of being right. So I've got this emotional resistance to being wrong. I feel like that there's shame. My pride is resisting correction, I guess. And I've got this underlying fear that I'm not worthy. If he's telling me, well, if you add salt to the water, the pasta tastes better. I'm just using this as an example because that's one that I always forget to do. I always forget to add the salt to the water when you're boiling pasta. And if you add the salt to the water, the pasta tastes better, no matter what dish you're making. And that translates in my crazy mind to a fear of being unworthy. Well, maybe he doesn't like my cooking. Maybe he doesn't think I'm good enough to cook. Like the feeling it makes me feel uncomfortable and it makes me feel like something bad is happening to me. But that's not what's happening. When I'm getting when I'm getting corrected, when I'm being given suggestions that make me feel like I'm wrong, there is a real connection that's happening, and I'm closing myself up to that connection. And I don't ever want my husband to feel like he can't talk to me, like we can't grow together. And that's what happens when I'm separating myself and focusing on just myself and how I'm wrong. And I get defensive. Um, the conversations get shorter, and I just become unteachable, inflexible, and I wanna allow myself to be human. Being wrong in relationships, if it's more of the something more important than being in the kitchen, something like, well, I did this and I was wrong to do that. I said this to you and I was wrong to say that. Um, that is so important to be able to do that. And I think that the way that we can practice admitting that we're wrong in times that we have said something that would hurt somebody or where I need to own up to my own mistakes. I can do that by practicing in small ways, which is doing things like accepting suggestions and building that connection that allows him to come to me whenever he wants to, and whatever he wants to say, I should be able to um, loosen my grip on my ego and allow our connection to thrive. And then when the rubber meets the road, then I'm able to admit my own mistakes in times that trust is really important in our relationship. So I want to learn to admit that I'm wrong without losing myself. I want to be able to admit that I'm wrong or take suggestions. I know I'm kind of lumping those together, and that's just because suggestions feel that way sometimes to me. Suggestions feel like somebody's telling me that I'm wrong, and I don't like it. It feels yucky, but it doesn't mean like has somebody giving me a suggestion or telling me that I'm wrong does not decrease my value in the moment. It also does not just negate my intentions. Um, I can still be wrong and be worthy. Um, I can have somebody give me a suggestion. I can have somebody tell me that I'm wrong, which sounds very harsh, but we're going to keep going in that direction. I can have somebody tell me that I'm wrong or admit that I'm wrong and not feel like if I'm changing my mind that I'm betraying myself. Changing my mind does not mean that I'm not being loyal to myself, but it's really changing my mind is evidence of growth. It doesn't mean I'm not stable. It means that I'm comfortable with myself and I trust myself and I trust the other person that I'm in a relationship with. So letting go of the scorecard, not feeling like I need to have an internal debate whenever somebody doesn't agree with me. Progress, as we know in recovery, doesn't require perfection. And I expect perfection from myself way too much. I need to stop in the moment trying to tally up the score, you know. Um, Peace and serenity comes in my life when I stop trying to win, when I stop trying to be right and I just trust. So I think being wrong, taking suggestions, all of this stuff is unavoidable, but it's useful. And it's giving myself permission to be human, accepting it, giving myself grace to allow myself to learn. And growth requires room for error. Again, I can't grow unless I'm wrong sometimes. So it's okay to be wrong. I'm I'm living better if I go through moments of being wrong, if I go through opening myself up to learning within my relationships. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you next time.